Welcome back to Leading Edge Cricket, everyone. Today we are back with breaking news. Ed Smith has left his role as England National of Selectors. It's been abolished, Rich. It has been abolished. 120 years has gone.
It has. History has been wiped away. Ashley Giles has decided enough is enough and we need a new structure. Ed Smith, he was appointed back in spring of 2018, almost 3 years to the day. In those 3 years, it's been a pretty successful time, hasn't it, really? First in T20, first in the ODI rankings and the World Cup win, obviously, back in 2019, and fourth in the Test match rankings. That's probably where there's a little bit of disappointment, I suppose, but you can't grumble too much about it. Let's put it that way. Ashley Giles, I say, he's the managing director. He wants to give what he said is, and this word's going to keep coming back and back and back, accountability, clear accountability to the England men's head coach, which is obviously Chris Silverwood. He's going to have responsibility for future squad selections from this point. The actual playing 11s, that's still going to be a conversation between the captains. So it might be Joe Root, might be Owen Morgan, etc. So Alex Hale, sorry, mate, you're still not going to get a game. But yeah, it's a really interesting one. It's interesting, like you said, that they've changed from that 120 years of history of how they've done it with that head of selectors. And really, it's the success of the system that Ed System has put in that has made his position probably not required.
Absolutely. It feels like the next step in professionalism wrapped around the English cricket structure, what he's helped to develop. And you talk about where they want to go with the national scouting system, the analytical system that's going to be in place, medical, sports science, performance analysis. All that good stuff comes from visionaries like the work that Ed's put in, like the work that more than likely Ashley Giles has been involved in. And they've had the same vision and ethos of where they want to go. And it just feels like it's almost the right time.
Yeah, definitely. I think that there's been a lot of positives, as we just said, about how the system he's put in place, the people he's worked with, the network of scouting, the technology that's there. I mean, it's there, use it. But I've read a number of reports on this, really, and it's interesting. A lot of people are kind of saying, it's pretty much a 50-50 scorecard, with success and failure for Smith. Others have been a little bit more critical. Others have been a bit more positive. But it is interesting that he didn't have the best relationship with some players. We've got the Johnny Bairstow situation where he's in and out. He's a wicketkeeper. He's not a wicketkeeper. It's a strange one. Moeen Ali always never seems to be quite settled in position. One or two of Stuart Broad, he seems to want to pick a fight with. Every so often. Broad just keeps going, doesn't he? So it's a strange one, really, in some respects. I would suggest that Ashley Giles wasn't overly satisfied with Ed Smith, and maybe because of some of those personal matters. Otherwise, why would you get rid of him? It's only one position. Yeah, they've cut in a little bit of cost at the ECB, but why get rid of him if you're going to leave the whole system in place still, if you were completely satisfied with what he was done?
Out of most sports, you don't really get this role that overlaps where the responsibility 100% falls pretty much to the captain for 5 days, and outside of that, it's almost the head coach, your Chris Silverwoods or whoever. But then you get this other role, which is the selector, who's pretty much picking the squads, and it's never felt right. And that's coming from us in the 90s, where you had Raymond Illingworth involved, and selection was absolute farcical for years and years and years. And I feel like you're actually going to get a head coach putting the players on the pitch and the squad that he wants every single time now, rather than going, hey, and it's not, this is stereotyping 90s England. Hey, there's this kid up in Yorkshire, you need to get him in.
That's the problem, isn't it? You never know how much of a say, Silverwood or Root or Morgan have had in who's in the squad. They might have been given a squad, every so often, and they can hardly pick an 11 out of it. So it's such a difficult one, isn't it? If he's got that final say, if he's got that responsibility for the squad, if he's got that accountability, I mean, first off, there's no excuses, nowhere to hide. It's your team, it's your players. I think it's 100% the right decision. I think, you've still got the same sort of people in there. Mo Bobber, who's the England men's performance director, and James Taylor, little James Taylor, who had to retire sadly from cricket. He's going to see he was an England selector, now he's head scout. So he's heading up the scouting network. So everything's in place. It'll all feed in to Silverwood. Silverwood's got the technology. He can watch as much cricket as he wants. All those scouts are going to be cross-watching players if they're on the radar. Everything's going to be there. He makes the decision. It's got to be the right way forward. I wonder as well if we might go back to seeing a bit more reliance on red ball performances, as in county cricket. Yeah. With Ed Smith, he seems to be a little bit enamored, overly enamored probably, and we're focused with white ball performances. That's what seemed to get people in. It's certainly initially anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there, Rich. It was something that always made us kind of scratch our heads a little bit every time it was time it was happening. And then there was the whole Adil Rashid thing. Sorry, I've retired from red ball cricket. Oh wait, we've not got many good spinners. Can you come back, please, for a couple of tests? And then there was the Dom Best thing, and it was a constant conveyor belt of. I feel, and who knows, but it always felt like in England there was a power struggle between selection between what the captain wanted and people having to say the right thing to the press in the right way to try and stop everything just blowing up. And
too many cracks, messy. Really, isn't there? Yeah, there's too many grey areas, too many cracks for issues to get put through. It's ultimately, it's absolutely the right thing to do. It absolutely is. Ed Smith, I've never overly warmed to his involvement. I don't know what it was. Maybe he represented a bit of the old boys network, with his background, etc. Seeing him sat there in his aviator sunglasses at every test match, looking a bit not sure. I just think this is the way forward. Chris Silverwood is basically manager now, isn't he?
Yeah,
that's how it should be.
He's got full control.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't rely. You can't do everything yourself. You can't rely on watching the players and coach the team and pick the team and everything else. So he's got the system in place, but he has to be the man that's satisfied with that squad.
Yeah, he does. He does. You think about other sports, or you think about American sports, and you've got the general manager role that kind of oversees a lot of recruitment into those teams. And I guess that's where Ashley Giles's role may be in making sure the holistic 50,000 feet approach aligns to ECB values, definitely. Business plan. This is what we want to do over 5 years. These are the tools you've got. Do you agree with that, Chris Silverwood? Yep, cool. I'm happy with all that. I understand my goals, where I go, and how I can go about it. And then Ashley Giles is there just paving the way to try and make sure he can succeed.
Absolutely. Yeah, that sounds right. It's streamlining it as well, isn't it? It's removing that one link in the chain that's not particularly necessary anymore, especially as I say, the system works well. Get rid. Sorry, don't get rid. It just reminded me, when you said American sport, it reminded me of that saying, didn't it? It's like, if you want me to cook dinner, let me buy the groceries. Yeah. Don't give me players if you then want me to do something with them. I want to choose the players. I love that phrase. So, absolutely 100%. I think it's the way forward. It'd be interesting to see how, who benefits from this, who doesn't benefit from this. Like I say, I think there'll be a focus move towards red ball, county cricket, performances in there. If there's, we've got selection coming up. I think he'll be involved with the last squad. Sorry, his last squad he will be selecting will be for the New Zealand Test matches. It'll be really interesting to see where they go with that. I think it will be very much within the squad. But then as the summer moves through, perhaps then we look at who has done it this summer. Who are the men in form rather than relying on who's there. We've got big questions at the opening spots already, haven't we?
Yeah.
We could have 2.
3.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Zach Crawley is probably the only one out of that top 3 that's probably got a place, hasn't he, at the moment? So big decisions ahead for Silverwood, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, definitely the right decision from the ECB, and we don't say that very often.
No, we don't. No, happy times, Richard. It could be a dear diary moment in English cricket where we've always followed. It was like in the 90s, early 2000s, in the 80s. It was what's West Indies doing, what's Australia doing. It feels like we're actually going, what is the other sports actually doing and running it? And they've got these amazing scouting systems and sports science, medical stuff, everything thrown in, performance analysis. What's the guy doing in county cricket? How good's the attack against him? What was the pitch like? What was the match situation? Taking all of that to go, oh yeah, he could probably do it. It's the one thing I love most about baseball is the analytical data and situational stats that come out of it. And if that comes out of it, that's going to be a wet dream to me, mate. If there's reports that got it, I'm just with there late at night going, wow, he got 20 against that attack on a pitch that was rated 3 out of 5.
Hey, Ed Smith brought in weighted averages, mate. So he's all over that, isn't he?
He is. But yeah, no, interesting times. And you'll probably see more of these videos around the channel where we're coming in for 10 minutes with breaking news, seeing what's going on, Rich. If you could sum it up in couple of sentences. Ed Smith and the Ed Smith era since he took over from James Whitaker. What are you saying?
White ball focus, put in a structure, put in a system that will now run itself to a point. I think that's the thing, isn't it? I think red ball was a secondary. I think they just wanted to surf the success of white ball into red ball and assume that success would come. I think that was the wrong approach for red ball, but white ball has undoubtedly been absolutely fantastic. But it's not just, very quickly, it's not just on his selection's been a successful failure to what actually happened on the field. It's the players performing themselves as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, he can pick the players, they might not perform.
Yeah.
Simple as that. So he can't take too much credit and he can't take too much criticism.
Yep. No, very true, mate. Very true. If you are on YouTube, guys, drop a subscribe, leave a like if you enjoy the video. The latest podcast in its full rendition is available on all good platforms. Not the bad ones, just the good ones, boys. And thank you very much for watching. I'm going to do it. Don't do it. Stay positive. Test negative. Goodbye.